Why do you support Trump?
Um, because I think he believes in like states' rights more. I think each state should be like a different country. I think states should have way more power than they have right now.
Okay, so then, do you think that California should be able to accept as many undocumented immigrants into the country as they want,
Um,
or
no, I think that
not to the country, to the state?
I mean I think the central government should they should kind of oversee it, but I think like sending Roe v. Wade to the states and letting the state legislature do that stuff, I think that's the right decision.
Why?
Um, I think it's just taking power right from the central government.
Wait, so you're not a United States first?
Uh, I'm a United States first, a states party.
No,
Emphasize
you're
that.
just the states first. You're not. It's not United States.
No, I think every state should be united, and I think the central government should help states assist them in their needs and kind of oversee them. Put some regulation, not as much as they have now.
Okay, and you know that if we don't give you guys, subsidies like California, right? You guys are gonna be worse off, like red states.
Um, can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, like we fund you guys. Like we put billions and billions upon billions of dollars into the system
I
that
mean, you
we
don't
do
fund
not
me,
get
but
out in California.
okay, then I disagree with that. Like tax money.
Yeah, like we put more into the federal government than we get from it.
Um, okay, then okay, I do. I think that money should go to California infrastructure and California roads and that type of stuff. California schools and California hospitals.
Well, we're gonna be doing great then, and you guys are gonna be doing dog. So like,
Uh, okay, then why is everyone from California moving to Texas and Tennessee and
I'm
Florida?
not. I live in California. No one I know is
Yeah, it turns out
moving to
your fellow
Texas.
people are moving.
No, most people are not moving. You're talking about like some conservatives are moving. Okay.
A lot of them are moving. Then why did California's population? I'm pretty sure it decreased in 2022.
And it's increased since then. And why did it decrease? Well, I mean, that could be various factors. I don't think it's because people think California is horrible, but
It's probably because of the high
California is
taxes and
expensive. It is expensive. High taxes are for extraordinarily rich people.
I mean, like I used to live there.
Okay. Why did you move?
Um, I like a long time ago. That was unrelated. I think housing or something like that. But I was like a little kid. But
Okay. So like, I mean,
um,
like
another reason.
you could have just said your parents. I was just curious. I thought
Okay.
it was you yourself, like when you were an adult.
Oh no. Okay. Another reason is you. What's your? Do you like? What do you think about our housing policy?
What do I think about housing policies? I don't think Trump has one. I think that
Um,
Democrats actually do. Like they have a $25,000 tax credit for first time home buyers for new homes.
wouldn't the landlord, or not the landlord, but the person wouldn't they just increase their price by 25,000 to keep up with the
No, not
demand?
by 25,000 because not everyone gets it. Plus, it's just like one thing to take into account is that we do want to increase the price, and that's intentional. But it's not going to be less affordable for people because people get access to the tax credit for new homes. These are for new homes, by the way. And the reason why we want to increase the price slightly is because we want to increase the incentive on the supplier side to create housing in places where people want to live. Because on the if you create a higher demand for it, essentially by giving a greater price for it, or I'll give it to you this way: a greater price for a consumer, or I mean for a supplier, means that they have a greater incentive to produce more. That's how the supply
Um,
curve works.
okay, and
At a higher
producing
price, they
more.
will produce more.
So producing more, what was her policy to produce more? It was
The tax
to
credits.
build, but she had a different policy that would build 3 million homes. That was like her.
These tax credits were to build that many homes.
You don't you need to invest a lot of money to build that many? Also,
Yeah,
her
yeah.
three
I mean,
million.
yeah, that's over
No,
multiple years. And I mean, there are other housing plans I could point to, but I'm not as familiar with the other housing plans.
okay. Okay, let me just break it down. Her housing plan was to build 3 million in her first term if she got one, but 3 million is underwhelming because that's less than like every president has done since
Can you give me a source on that?
like this century. Like Joe Biden built more. Trump in his first term built more. He built 5 million.
Can you give
Obama
me a
built more.
source?
Um, sure.
All right. So we'll give that a second. In the meantime, let me check YouTube real quick. I'll see if I can catch up there. By the way, everyone, Dean should be live here pretty soon. Everyone, he said that he's just eating and then he's gonna get on live.
Yahoo Finance.
You said who?
Yahoo Finance.
What's the title?
Let me find it. Okay, this isn't the exact one, like where the president, where it shows how much the president's built. That was AI, but this one is, you said Trump has no housing plan, but he wants to build 4 million affordable homes. The title is Trump administration plans to construct nearly 4 million affordable homes on federal land.
They said they plan to construct 4 million homes on federal land.
Yep.
So there's a few issues with this. One, that's not in places where people want to live, right? Because federal land oftentimes isn't in those circumstances. Two, you're going over federal land, which is oftentimes going to be nature reserves, right?
Nature
Uh,
reserve?
yeah, like nature reserves are federal land.
I'm gonna be honest, I'm not too familiar with like federal land and like
That's okay. But I mean, I don't. I mean, I would love to see where he said that he was gonna get that, or where the evidence was that he could get to that point. I do think
he's
that the.
proposed.
I just want to clarify. There are a certain amount of housing units that are authorized every year, but that doesn't necessarily mean that those were created by the government. So what she's doing is she was going to create 3 million new homes herself on top of the homes that are being added or being built.
Okay,
Does that
and
make
would
sense?
like I mean like yeah, kind of doesn't
Because
though,
because
but
I do see what you mean. That there's like permits that are like 1.4 million a year,
yeah,
but like it
I
was
also like
actually
how
higher under the Biden Harris administration comparative to the Trump administration slightly.
yeah, I also like how he's like cutting red tape for businesses and housing, or that
Like
or like he
what
ran
red
on.
tape?
Just like bureaucracy issues.
They both said that they have to be like specific.
Um, I don't know if I could be like specific on that, but I just know that's his plan.
Well, if neither of them can be specific on it, then you don't know if it's a good policy to get rid of or not. So you don't know which one is going to have better deregulation policy. And
I
has
didn't
Trump
even know
passed
that
any
was one of her
deregulation
policies,
policy?
honestly.
She
Huh?
did. She said that. I
Okay.
remember.
I kind of I did research like at the time, but I feel like she wasn't really too big on like her like economic policies and stuff. Like she talked about abortion and like
Uh,
social issues
I
more.
would no, I would say she talked about economic issues, but I think that like Democrats should literally just be talking about economic issues like 80% of the time. Like
Yeah.
I genuinely believe that because I think that people like hear affordability first. They
Yeah.
hear everything like that first, and then they listen to everything else. And I think that when we put a focus on affordability, like Mom Donnie did, that means that we're gonna get a lot more people in our coalition, a lot more people to vote for us, and then we can do all the other things we want to do as well. So it's just
That's
like
true, but like
I think that affordability is the most important thing that we need to be addressing because people need to know how what we're going to do is going to impact them personally, like their life specifically. And economics is important to talk about. I think she talked about it a lot, but I think it needs to be like something that is talked about by everyone within the party a lot more as like sort of a change. I don't think Biden
okay.
focused on affordability enough. I don't think he took credit for the affordability changes that they made enough. And I think that left Kamala Harris to a situation where the administration prior didn't talk about affordability enough. So even if we were to grant, like she specifically talked about affordability enough, it still wasn't enough in the scheme of things because it was 107 days when we should have had 4 years of messaging on affordability.
Yeah, also I think their administration struggled with inflation at 9.1%. That's like
It wasn't
more
caused
than
by
it
them.
was during this. Huh?
It wasn't caused by them.
What about I think if you send everyone like $1,400 checks in the mail I think people are going to overspend, or not overspend, but I think it's
Trump's
going to
talking
lose
about
value.
sending people $2,000 from tariffs. How do you feel about that?
I know the $2,000 tariff and the 50-year mortgage thing. It was really dumb. I
Great economic policies instituted by the Trump administration. He was comparing himself to Roosevelt. Did you know that?
yeah, I saw there's like a picture of both of them. It's like 30-year, 50-year.
And
I
it said
think
like
he's
great presidents or something like that.
yeah, I saw that. That was kind of crazy, but I still think the American Rescue Plan, like handing everyone $1,400 checks, like especially when that's when people started spending again too, because that's when COVID was
The
ending.
stimulus
So
checks
I don't.
happened under Trump as well.
Yeah, but Trump sent it right when everyone lost their jobs. There was 15% unemployment when he did it. When Biden did it, unemployment was going
He
down
advocated
and the
for it
country was
again in
getting back on
January.
its feet.
Yeah,
Huh?
and in that circumstance, it made sense. That wasn't what caused inflation. The stimulus check, that's ridiculous to say that caused inflation. The What caused inflation was the supply chain issues that happened around the entire world.
Um, okay, then why in the middle of COVID was there like 0.1% inflation?
Because at that point there was lower demand because people were staying at home to a greater extent, and people were saving because of a
Wait, hold
like
up.
thought
We kind
economic
of
disaster, and it could go bad. So that's why people specifically did so. The supply chain issues came right. It were a problem in terms of bringing them back to the where they were prior when everything was going back to normal.
okay. Before we go on that, we kind of skimmed past this. Do you agree that sending people a $1,400 stimulus checks when unemployment's going down and the country's just starting to get back on its feet? Can you agree that's a bad thing? And that's much different from Trump's stimulus checks because he did it in like May 2020 when there was a 15% unemployment rate,
Repeat what you
and
just said.
that
Sorry,
was like a whisper.
I zoned out. I'm gonna be totally honest. On
I
accident.
mean, I said, can you agree that the Trump stimulus is different from Biden's? Because when Biden did it, unemployment was on its way down, the country was getting back on its feet, and the COVID was kind of ending. When Trump did it, it was May 2020. That was like the 15%
Unemployment
unemployment. No
was
one
still
was
like
spending,
unemployment was still over 5%.
but it was on a trend down.
Sure, it was on a trend down. But what's their point with that? Wait, let
I'm
me
saying you
check.
don't need to
When
give everyone money on that.
did Biden give out the stimulus? Is this 2021? It was
Yeah, I think
released
it
on
was
February 8th, 2021. Okay, BLS inflation, or not inflation. We want
unemployment.
unemployment. Let's check. It would have been like at 6.4% around there, which was like trending down, but it was one of the things that like would have helped it go down even further. Unemployment kept decreasing after that, by the way.
Yeah, but I
And
don't
by the
think
way,
you
that would
need.
help with unemployment actually because it helps stimulate the economy to get everything back to a certain extent. The issue then came with supply chain issues later on with like
Okay, but that's. I'm not talking about the inflation right now. You said it. I don't think you need to stimulate an economy when it's already getting back on its feet. People are spending again. Things are
well, I
going back
don't
to
think it
normal.
was back on its feet yet.
I mean, it was getting there. I mean, I think it definitely was. I think if you just left it alone, then you would
Trump
have
also signed
had.
off on more debt related spending like by trillions of dollars.
That was after COVID. I think before
Even
COVID.
even before COVID. Like non-COVID related spending was 4.8 trillion. The entirety of the Biden-Harris administration, COVID related or non-COVID and COVID related spending was 4.3 trillion debt related spending.
Does
So
that include foreign aid?
yes, so that's 500 billion dollars more, right, for Trump comparative to Biden, and that's not even counting Trump's non-COVID related spending, or I mean COVID related spending, which is 3.6 trillion.
Well, what Trump? So what was Trump's 4 trillion? How? What did he?
4.8 trillion. You can
Yeah,
find
what
this
was
from a
that
committee
on?
for responsible federal budget. It's Trump v. Biden, CFRB.
Yeah, but
Um,
what did he spend the 4 trillion on? Like, what was that consumed by mostly?
yeah, I got you. So that was specifically the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, the Bipartisan Budget Acts of 2018 and 2019, the ACA tax delays and repeals, the Health Executive Actions. Um, it even took into account some of his tariffs in terms of revenue, and then the CARES Act, Response and Relief Act, and then other COVID relief and other legislation.
Okay, then I could just, yeah, sure, he should be more responsible than that. shouldn't spend that much. But I kind of like his tax cuts, the original ones.
Yeah, Kamala Harris would have kept all the TCJ for income earners under $400,000 a year.
Um, Under 400,000. So what would she keep under them? You just what would she take away from people who make over it?
Yeah, she would have just taken away all of the tax cuts, and she would have imposed greater taxes for income over $400,000 a year. Only on the income over 400K.
Okay. I don't really like that. I don't like the whole Zoran like just tax that just when you have like having like a million crazy policies and then being asked how
No
you're going
one's
to pay
saying a
for them and just saying
million
tax the
crazy
rich.
policies. No, no one's saying that. We specifically had policies to tax. And if you compare Trump v. Harris, Committee for Responsible Federal Budget, debt-related spending estimates, Trump was estimated to do $4 trillion more on a central estimate comparative to Kamala Harris.
Um, wasn't that during the Biden administration? So wasn't it kind of slanted?
What do you mean? What
Like
was
slanted in her favor?
in what way?
Because that those CBO numbers came like under the Biden administration, didn't they? Like during the campaign.
That was it's still bipartisan.
Uh, okay, I guess I can agree. I also another thing that I liked he did, he repealed, not repealed, but he kind of got rid of NAFTA and replaced it, and that was much
With
better.
the
USMCA.
USMCA, I actually don't dislike the USMCA. The issue is that Trump went against the USMCA by imposing tariffs on Canada and Mexico again.
Actually, no. Canada. It seems like everything coming in from Canada is tariff. That's actually not true. USMCA goods are excluded.
No, so what you're not understanding is that specifically it goes against what was designated by the USMCA, right? So those are prior USMCA goods. We're talking about what would go against the set of conditions that existed under the USMCA. So instead of extending the USMCA, right, it specifically overturned it. Does that make sense?
Okay, but if our three biggest importers, or not importers, but like three biggest, importers are China, Mexico, and Canada, why not make a little extra money on them? Why not make a little extra money on them? Like I don't agree with like a
Wait.
150.
What is a tariff?
It's a tax on an import.
Okay, who pays that?
The business,
What business?
the business exporting it, or the country exporting it.
No, no. It would be the country importing the product, the business that's importing the product, and it's passed down to the consumer because it's an aspect of cost of production and distribution, and it's not placed on the profits. So no, the foreign country is not paying the tariff. That was a lie that
Wait,
Trump
so hold
engaged
up.
in.
Look here. Let's look at it from the beginning. Like, don't expand on it first. So let's say I want to let's say I'm Mexico, you're the US. You have a 10% tariff on me. If you want to buy something off me, wait, no, hold up. Okay, I think then
Do you want me
I
to
have to
explain it
pay
to you?
10% extra to get it into your country, the US. No?
So the tariff is essentially right when you buy a product from another country around the world, right? As an American business importing a product, you have to pay a tariff rate to the government, right,
Yeah.
for bringing that product into the United States. So American importers pay that, and then it's passed down to the consumer because it's a cost of production and distribution. So it's just like an increase in the manufacturing cost. Think about like if some technology passed where it increased the manufacturing costs, right? What would happen? Well, we'd lose jobs, prices would go up, right? Like things like that, because
Has that happened?
technology has got worse. Yes, prices have had an upward pressure, and the jobs report has gone down. Trump actually said the jobs report was so bad that he thought it was politically biased information, which
I
is
mean, wasn't that
ridiculous.
just because the BLS person was off by like so much?
The
Because they do
revision,
a
wait, those
recall like two
revisions make
months
sense
later.
to do. Those revisions make sense to do. Under Trump's first term, there's like a 500,000 revision. Under Biden, there was an 818,000 jobs revision, right? And that specifically came 3 weeks after Harris launched her campaign. So if they were politically biased towards the Democrats, why did they originally come out with that revision that was greater, right? Under the Biden-Harris administration, that would have made Harris, or did make Harris, look bad at that time.
That's one way to look at it. Another way to look at it is why are they wrong so much, so consistently under different administrations? It seems like there's a problem there, no?
Say that one more time.
I think another question to ask was why are they wrong so often under like three? You said under three administrations they're just constantly wrong. I mean, like I'm not a data analyst, but I feel like if you can't be wrong that much. I don't think it was politically biased.
These
I
are
just think the
updates, dude. These are updates. So they're updating the estimates they have because they get better information.
yeah, but how can the first estimate be so off?
That's how this data works. We choose specifically to get our information out quicker so that we can have an idea of where our economy is going, right? And then we revise them later on. This is how we've been doing it for a while.
Okay, that makes sense. I also think it. Wait, so since you think tariffs cause like all of that inflation and stuff, are you like a champion of free trade?
I prefer there being less universalized tariffs. Now, I think that some targeted tariffs are okay. And on a global context, I'm more pro free trade, sure. But like I do think that there's more perverse incentives in like domestic markets where you'd have to have regulations and stuff. But I mean, I also believe in some sort of regulatory action from an international standpoint as well.
Who would be enforcing that if it's from an international standpoint?
I would like for there to be more enforcement from an international standpoint in terms of our international bodies. But in order to do that, we have to work internationally with countries around the world more. But it's already to some extent, and like done by like governing bodies from the international, like the UN.
Okay. I think I don't like being so reliant on China. I like that's one thing I really hate. And I think the tariffs kind of making businesses come here. I just want to build stuff mostly like
You just
China
want
does.
you just want to build stuff. So
No,
infrastructure
build
bill.
stuff like China does. Like look at their country. And like we
Okay,
used
so
to build a
you want
lot
to
of
be
things in this country. Look at Eisenhower. We
so
used to
you want to run our country like China runs their country?
no, I want to
Okay, so
have
then why do you say look at China as if like we should like look at them as an example?
I said look at their modern infrastructure and then look at our aging
Modern
infrastructure.
infrastructure. So you like Biden's infrastructure bill. Trump
Yes,
ran
I
on
did.
infrastructure, but he couldn't
That
get the infrastructure bill. Biden got that infrastructure bill.
I do. I just think Biden's came at the wrong time
Really? I don't think it did.
because it was right after the American Rescue Plan. He just spent another two
It was
trillion.
before the
I think
American Rescue Plan, I'm pretty sure.
wasn't the American Rescue Plan like the first 30 decade?
American Rescue.
I think if he did it in like 2024, early 2024, 2023, that would be great. But it was
I'm
like a
actually not quite sure
trillion.
which one was first. I have to check.
Also, Biden does this thing a
Effective March
lot.
11th. Wait, what was the other American Rescue Plan? And then what else did we say? Sorry. Um, Bro, elevation has got to me. It's 5 hours too. I've been on it for 5 hours. What was the other one? We said American Rescue Plan. What else?
And bipartisan infrastructure bill.
Infrastructure bill. Sorry.
I actually like that. I like that. I think we should fix our highways, fix our buildings, fix everything.
Let me see. Um, November, March. Yeah, actually, you're right. American Rescue Plan was a bit before. You're right.
So can we agree that
It was within a few months.
spending having like a trillion
Well,
dollar package for that was bad at the time?
well, here's one thing with infrastructure. Infrastructure can often reduce costs if you invest in infrastructure. So that's
Yeah, but
I
why not just invest in infrastructure like 2 years later, or like even a year later when the economy is like
when
fully back
inflation
and
was doing worse.
inflation was at like 4% in 2023, wasn't it?
By 20, let me see. Um,
He
inflation. I got you.
he controlled it, and then by the time Trump won, it was kind of up again.
Give me 1 second. 1 second. Sorry, I just need to look at like this. I need to look at like specifics on it. I need to see like the inflation on a monthly standpoint. Oh God, I saw they gave me a weird consumer price index on the St. Louis Federal Reserve. Bureau of Labor Statistics. Give me the chart.
Use trading economics. They have really good data.
What'd you say?
Use trading economics. They have really good data.
Oh, I'm
TE.
going to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. What were you arguing? Sorry again. You said we were at
Um,
in
I was
2023.
saying I'm
And points in 2023, we got down to 3%. So you're saying we should have waited till 2023 to do the? We needed the infrastructure 2 years prior, though. And I don't think that the infrastructure bill is what it led to the inflation.
um you don't think like that big conglomerate of like $1 trillion spending packages back to back, you don't think that did anything?
Well, I think that spending obviously could and can cause an inflation increase, but there was a greater level of spending under Trump. So if we're going to say that spending caused inflation, well, then Trump's more
Yeah,
responsible
but
for it.
Trump probably spread his out. That's why all the inflation happened under Biden at once, like in 2022 summer.
Well, inflation got up to 2.9% in April. I mean, not in April, in August 2018 or June 2018, 2.9% actually, even.
Yeah, but then
So that
right
was
before
because of his
COVID,
policy. And
I
in
mean, he had it
actually,
at
economists definitely indicate
1.5% in
that
2019.
that's because the spending policies they take actually years for these things to cause that level of inflation.
So would you say that 2018 inflation you just told me was like Obama's fault or something?
No, no, no. This is because of his policy that he passed well a year plus prior.
Um, we, I guess, but yeah, if you
Because
just want to
it wasn't
ignore,
just extended through; it was also carrying over throughout. But like I'm talking about what economists have indicated, the increase in the inflation, right? We know that was global because of global inflationary trends.
was it?
Does that make sense?
I
Yes, it
mean,
was
was it?
global.
Let
I
me
know
check
this is for a
China's
fact.
inflation rate.
I know it was for a fact. And China's not the only other country. China had low inflation at the time. That was like one of the only countries.
What other
I'm pretty
country do
sure
you
they
have in
had
memory? Just
issues
name a
with
country.
leading towards deflation. Europe,
Let me
Africa,
check
South
Canada's inflation rate.
America, right? Those aren't countries, but those are specifically areas that had higher levels of inflation. I can name specific countries if you want. You can reference the UK, you can reference Germany, you can reference,
Okay,
Sweden
Canada
and
had
Finland
8%
and
inflation too. It's pretty high.
Canada, and you can reference literally everywhere. Australia.
Okay, that's kind of true. But
Yeah. So
weren't those countries a result of our inflation because their
no,
economies rely heavy on
no,
ours? And I watched a
no,
documentary recently. It said
no.
because of the 2008 recession, all our allies, most of our allies, they also went into recession because their economies are so reliant on ours.
Yes, but that happened first, and then it happened in those countries around the world. It didn't happen like this with inflation because we're not the producers of of the world. Okay, so if it's a supply chain crisis and we're not the producers of the whole world, how could we be the cause of inflation? That would be ridiculous.
That's true. I guess that's true.
Like inflation doesn't work the same way as like a recession
I guess that's true. Yeah.
because it's just dependent on like what was the cause of inflation, and because we're not the basis for supply, it
Yeah,
doesn't really
that's
make
true.
sense for that.
I think like unemployment also at a record low under Trump's first term.
Unemployment record low under first term. It was 3.5% lowest last 50 years, but it was 3.4% two separate months under the Biden Harris administration.
It was?
Yeah, it was 3.4% two separate months.